what you need for the basically, so you don't need to sit there and do the actual coding.
Yeah.
But you ship him what you need. He starts to implement it, and slowly you can feel the systems come to life under your hands. I was going to make you roll a couple more rounds of that, but realistically, you've just fixed a ton of strain. And I think it's fair to say that you've got the ship back up and running. So the systems are booting up. The weapons are on a low charge. They're just starting to boot up. And with a groan, the ship begins to elevate, casting off kind of the snow as it's pummeled by Iontos. Lyric and Valentine, you are kind of, as the back hatch is coming up in classic kind of like every fucking video game where you're a soldier ever, shooting out the back door as the thing comes up.
It's the end of every Firefly episode.
100%, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And as You Can't Take the Sky From Me starts playing under the roar of the engines, the ship begins to rise. So Tremaine is almost upon you, and with his wingspan, he kind of leaps massively, and you feel him grab the back of the ship. You're still going up, but he's kind of coming with you. Valentine, would you be manning the ship's guns with Lyric shooting out the back, or would you be shooting out the back and Lyric would be on the ship's guns? I feel like, Lyric, you don't really know ship's guns so well.
No,
Yeah,
I feel
not
like
really.
if somebody other than Alto is doing it, it'd probably be Valentine. Yeah, he'd just have more generic familiarity with systems from his like Scala Progenium training.
Yeah. So, can you roll me a perception check, please? Difficulty 2.
Three successes and one advantage.
Fuck yeah, man, that's my kind of roll. Valentine, you haven't had much real life. Well, actually, that's not true. You have had a decent amount of real life experience with close calls with death. Both the accident that led to some minor rebuilding, to the ship you were on being torn apart in the warp, to the Emperor's Hope being torn apart by Tokyo drifting too hard. So if there's something that you've gained from all of these experiences, sometimes it's bionic eyes, sometimes it's a weird robot companion, and sometimes it's the ability to recognize an opportunity when it presents. You've recently learned that ships make pretty good weapons, and there is a beautiful, tall, gleaming example of this just off to the right of your ship as you begin to take off. You see one of the remaining vessels of the Astral Line, a massive, tall tower of a ship just kind of hanging out. Based on the charge of the weapons, you can probably fire them once. What do?
I shoot the Astral Line ship so that it blow up.
So you want to detonate it? You want to crash it? What's the plan? Basically, you can try and aim for a fuel line. You can try and just aim to knock it over. What's your game?
I think fuel line. Like if he can blow it in a way that'll just torch Tremaine, that makes the most sense. He can't guarantee if he can knock it over to hit Tremaine, it could hit the ship. And if this is void and combat worthy, it should be able to survive fire and shrapnel, or we're fucked for 1,000 different reasons.
Fingers crossed.
The Emperor always gives you an answer to the questions you're asking, and I think I've got my answer right here, he says as he pushes the trigger button on the gunnery station.
Amazing. So, as you do so, you notice Acri just nudge your reticle like 4 inches to the right, and the singular blast strikes the other Astral Line ship. Alto, as the systems boot up, you see sort of like call signs begin to appear. Kind of, this ship seems to be garbled, but for just a brief moment, you get a ping, just kind of off to the right of the ship, starboard, if you will, that is labeled the Emperor's Fury, and then it blinks off as the Emperor's Fury is unleashed, as the massive Astral Line ship detonates in that horrible way that like anytime a rocket explodes, just kind of from the bottom up in a cascade of flame. Your ship is battered, sent careening, kind of spiraling off. And as you all kind of like brace yourselves, lols, against whatever you can, you see a massive fireball consume the remaining creatures that had descended upon you, wiping clean Galen's garden, and in a final blast, you see the grasping, shocked face of Tremaine, who just manages a "oh shit" before being blasted to pieces. And so, with a fireball in your wake, you manage to right the ship, and with a kind of slowly ascending arc, fire and flaming bits of creatures and animals and Xenos burning off, you begin to ascend into the heavens, leaving the death world of Tren far, far behind you. What do any of you have parting sentiments for the planet? Lyric, you're looking disgusted and furious.
There was a butt. I was just waiting
there is. I'm just looking at angry faces.
Yeah, no, Lyric just like I kind of I set my weapons down, and I just like tromp up to Valentine, and I like shove him like against a bulkhead. And it's like, the only other fucking psyker I know, and the fucking doctor, you leaving them both the fuck behind. What is wrong with you?
Well, you know, if everyone had perhaps been a little more combat ready in the face of the monsters, we might have been able to make choices. I want to be clear. We're here to save the Emperor. Everyone is a tool to save the Emperor. You, me, them. The people who got away were the people that I had committed to bringing on this mission. You, your brother, myself. They could have been useful, they could have not. The doctor tried to kill me. We couldn't trust the doctor to treat any of us, especially if we had to kidnap the doctor. So the doctor became sacrificial. Horatio wanted to be a hero. When I get to a fortress precinct of the Arbites, he will be made one posthumously. He has saved the life of the Emperor. They were all not serving a purpose. They were all not going to save us. And if we had tried to save them, we would all be dead. How do you feel right now? And he just points at like the almost dead you. And he's like, I am almost broken. If you try to shove me again, I might have to shoot you just because one of us is going to die from the shoving. So instead, we survived. I saved your brother and I saved you, which I also did before when they attacked you in the woods. I've saved you twice.
I don't have an answer to this, so I just like turn on my heel and just kind of mutter like, fucking Inquisitors have an answer for fucking everything, and I go in search of a medkit.
Cool. So you storm off in search of a medkit, and it's not a big ship, so you're just kind of looking around in that kind of delightfully angry, futile way, where it's just kind of like, nah, just open this. Meanwhile, as you're doing this, Alto, you are starting to like plot a course.
God damn, this is a lot.
I've got a sense of how to jump systems with the information that you've collected so far about the conspirators. The only lead you currently have to go on is that of the traitor Glasgow Vicodin. And luckily, Valentine, you are aware of the distillery planet. It's like a Forge world for booze.
Yeah, I think Valentine would take the co-pilot seat and help them sort out like what warp beacons are in the area, because we don't actually have a navigator and all the math we'd have to do and shit like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're all sort of. I think you're kind of talking to Acri about that, and also that gives you a second to kind of do a quick analysis of the ship. And you notice that there is a blinking alert now that the system is up for something just labeled stasis. And it's like angrily blinking at you.
I'd like to investigate that, like stasis regarding what, like kind of open the file, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah. So basically, it's just on a diagram of the ship. There's just kind of a blinking button that says stasis. And as you open the file, Lyric, you find a closet that just fucking won't open. But luckily, you find a button that says release. And as you press it, Tyler, the light goes from green to red on stasis. And instead of a med kit, you are confronted by hissing smoke pouring out of a seemingly glass chamber. And suddenly, a figure falls into your arms with a massive clank of metal, cords and cables snapping off their neck as they do so, coughing up a weird sort of slimy substance. Lyric, you find yourself looking at a face that is at least partially human, but also partially machine, that just smiles at you and says, "Oh, fuck, I cannot begin to tell you how happy I am to be out of there. Hello, new friends!" And that's how you met the tech priest.
This episode of the Valentine Heresy features Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter as Inquisitor Lucius Valentine, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter as Alto, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter as Lyric. Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I am Inquisitor Caveat Ventus, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is my report on the Valentine Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee, Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentine, Laura Elizabeth as Lyric, and Tyler Hewitt as Alto. My report shows that the Inquisitorial Band escaped the death world of Tren at a high cost. Valentine sacrificed Horatio, the Doctor, and the remaining ship of the Astral Line. Alto flew the ship away from the world, and Lyric discovered the Tech Priest in stasis. Will this dethroned Tech Priest turn out to be friend or foe? Find out in this episode of the Valentine Heresy.
Adeptus Arbites log. You know, when they send you out, you always think, it's fine, I won't have to make any stops along the way. But then you find out about someone doing something truly horrific, something so offensive to the Imperium itself, that you must make a detour. That is the man I have locked up, and that is the man I plan to torture once I have dealt with this fucking planet. Lyric, you find that very man in your arms. He's a Paul Bettany-looking motherfucker. He is heavy. He's wearing a sort of a beautiful crimson robe that is stained and ragged and has clearly seen a bit too much action. It's caked with grease and this kind of odd, sort of like foul-smelling mist that is still dumping out of the stasis pod. You are struck by the weight of this man, and similar to kind of, I think, what you would have discovered with Alta making like minor modifications to himself over the years, you can feel just how much metal is on this guy. And as he kind of grips your shoulder for support, you can feel that several of his fingers are mechanical, but a couple of them are still organic. Like I think a good visual clue for kind of tech priests in general, but specifically this fella, is very much almost in a Borg way, where there's just like a bunch of random tech, not in like the full Borg like servo arm, but more like in a 7 of 9 or the Reclamation Project in Picard kind of, like there's still like lots of bits. But to your surprise, a lot of this looks closer to what you would have seen back on your planet in terms of some of the enhancements people gave themselves. It's you know you're someone who's seen some pretty rough gang self surgeries, and this definitely looks like a lot of self surgery.
This is a backdoor.
Yeah. Or literally just like, well, it's a little bit like trying to cut your own hair, where you're like, I can mostly get the angle, but not quite. So he kind of he's got very much like a sort of half his forehead and like a Phantom of the Opera level of technology built into his face. You can see that it's been seemingly painted some time ago with flames, like you'd put on the side of a sports car. And he
My friend
he
and fellow siege engine pilot Maury Hildolf is lost in the hills. We were looking for a rare ore that's needed for a high-grade blast
garbage,
powder. And during our search, he drove his engine up a steep hill and busted it.
Says,
Still convinced
hello, new
forward in
friend.
these mountains. Hildolf.
I just immediately like push him off. And
Can you roll me an athletics check, please? He's a heavy sumbitch.
okay, I attempt to push him off.
Yeah, I think the instinct is just like, get the fuck off me, as you would, because he's also like, he's a tallish guy, but he's slight, like he's not built. But as you start to push, you realize like it's a flesh sack of metal. Okay. So I'm going to say difficulty of 1. It's not tremendously hard. It's just surprising. It's not what you're hoping for. So 1 purple. I'm going to give you a setback just because of all the weird like mist and guck. And in terms of story points, we're going to say let's just go with a straight 3 and 3 on this one.
All right, can I roll?
Yeah, so this will be your brawn and your athletics, please.
Cool. 4 successes and 1 failure. Wait, end result 3 successes. Fuck, I keep reading that.
All good. All right, so yeah, you shove him up and off, and again, it's more effort than you intended, but you're strong. Admittedly, wounded. Everyone's very wounded.
Incredibly wounded.
But also he can't, like, he's like Bambi on the ice, like he doesn't have his legs yet. So as you push him, he just kind of like dead weight stumbles and collapses off to the side. I think we talked a little bit about the interior of the ship looking a bit like the Quinjet from the Avengers movies, or the Blackbird from X-Men. So you are sort of near the rear of the ship where the stasis pod is. However, it is a large open space. So for you two gents in the cockpit, you definitely hear like a large metallic clang as this happens, and Alto, you had just seen the state, like the stasis piece blink off. And Acre's like, well, shit, we got a stowaway.
If Alto looks over his shoulder, can he see the situation behind him?
Yeah, it's probably about like 5 meters back and down a little flight of stairs. So if you think about where like Hulk and Widow hang out in any time they have to have a weird relationship conversation that gets completely ignored in later films, it's kind of down basically in the cargo section.
So by this point I've like drawn my shock whip.
I think Alto will stay at the wheel and just kind of turn to Valentine and say, I think whatever was in stasis is out of stasis now. Would you mind helping out Lyric if she needs it?
She seems to be all right now. Why don't we keep it focused? All right, you do the flying. Now, Acre is beside you, correct?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Can I borrow Acre for a moment? Acre, I can't speak to him and know if he's receiving this, so I'm just going to have to trust you to relay. Could Acre pull up the files on whoever the chug just fell out of stasis? That would be wonderful. Lyric! Point a gun at them!
I already have my fucking whip. Get back here.
Please, Mr. Valentine, could you make sure she's okay?
What he'll do is just activate his refractor field and then just turn his chair around and be like, yes, I can see what's going on. Let's find out the information we have. And just raise his bolt.
So Acre does a little bit of fast hacking. Tyler, I think we're going to use your tech use for Acre.
Sure.
I'll say he gives you 2 boost dice because he's literally plugged in. But rather than having the guy with all the tech skills sit by while an NPC does the work, Let's have you roll some dice. So I'm going to say this is a difficulty of 4. So 4 purple. And I'm going to spend a story point to upgrade 1 to a red.
Okay.
So we're at 4 and 2 in your favor now. Despite having met his end fighting the Administratum down on the planet, I know he didn't. He died of old age. I keep forgetting when he died. Having died of old age, training, no doubt a long line of arbitrators who will surely survive and go off planet with their new friends and not be betrayed and left for dead. He's encrypted the hell out of this. Like this is like a top level encryption. Quite frankly, from a glance, this isn't something this guy should have been dealing with. This must have been a pretty this is the equivalent of being like, we've cornered a serial killer, send the patrol cop.
Right. So Tom, random question to possibly add boost dice, possibly not. I'm imagining Valentine would have a number of inquisitorial codes that might work in, general systems to kind of bump stuff. I don't know if that would apply in this case, but is there any way with the Rosette or that kind of thing that he could data spike?
I'm going to say in this case, no, only because it's a personal encryption.
That makes sense.
I will say Dark Heresy isn't built for an Inquisitor in the party. So you will find places where narratively it might make sense that an Inquisitor might magically have access or overrides, but given that you never really passed the test and or were officially inducted
it was
as
a battlefield promotion. I'm fine with it. Don't worry. I'm never going to argue with you.
No. I just wanted to lay that groundwork because that's the kind of thing that would kind of irk me throughout. It's it's like when the X-Men are like, oh no, a door, we can't get through that. I'm like, all of you have something that gets you through that door. Fuck off. But yes, in this case,
I think I'm gonna play something else.
If it was just a standard Imperial thing, absolutely. But in this case, it's his.
Playing so much Octo. Wow, I need to play something else.